everybody, and welcome to the Midwest Meltdown. Glad to have you back.
Welcome.
I'm Zach,
I'm Josh.
and you know what? Let's dive right into it. Let's get back into some video game talk.
You want to know what we should talk about today?
Oh, Josh, what shall we talk about today?
So, as hopefully everybody tuned into last week, we did our top 10 favorite games.
Thank you again for sticking it out with us.
Yes, thank you very much. 4 honorable mentions each. And I think a common theme amongst my list, and I think amongst your list as well, is there was a lot of games that presented a huge emotional investment.
Agreed.
So, I think we should maybe take today, expand a little bit on those games. Maybe you could dive a little deeper into what really drew you in, what was emotionally gripping for you. Were you appropriately gripped?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel gripped now?
Yes, I feel gripped. I feel emotionally invested in the emotion that we are gonna emotionally talk about.
Good. I think we covered that. Okay, I'm gripped. You're gripped. We hope you're gripped. Would you like to start?
Sure, I can kick us off.
Okay.
I think one of the first games that really I think pulled me in on an emotional standpoint was Uncharted. Initially, I think like Uncharted 2. As you can remember from last week, that was on my Uncharted 2 was on my list. It was a PS3 game. It was my first PS3 game that I played, and it was one of those stories where it just took me in right out of the gate, just with everything. Obviously, you had Nathan Drake and then Chloe. And why can't I think of his now wife? What was her name?
Elena.
Thank you. I just think like it was everybody clashed well, and of course Nolan North being the voice acting genius that he is, really I think helps to draw you in. To
No doubt.
To liking the character of Nathan Drake. Like you can feel a real connection when you play with him. But I think going off that more, I think the real emotion though came in when I played Uncharted 4.
Well, can I stop you quick?
Absolutely.
I was emotionally attached to that train in Uncharted 2. So I felt real bad when I went over the cliff.
You were Thomas the Train Engine man.
Yeah, big time. So R.I.P. It was his uncle.
Do you want some Kleenex still?
Well, I'll save it for later. I know I'm going to
Yeah.
do it when we start talking about some other stuff. But I'm just saying it was pretty sad when that train
Yeah, I
went over
bet
the
you
edge.
were.
Okay, continue.
God damn you. Anyway, I think, like I said, Uncharted 4 really, well, I think adding the brother aspect to it, which was kind of weird to a degree when that first happened, because no mention of a brother in the first 3 games.
I'm not going to lie to you. I played that entire game waiting for him to fucking kill Nathan Drake at any given point to literally just flip the entire angle.
Very, very sketchy.
Oh, yeah.
Also voice acted by the great Troy Baker, so Troy Baker, Nolan North combination, I think that also really drove home the emotion.
No
but
doubt.
yes, no doubt. I was sitting there the entire game. I'm like, all right, when's he gonna? I mean, he actually did end up fucking him over. Spoiler alert. Sorry, game's been out for a while, so sorry, not sorry. He did end up really kind of screwing him over at one point. I guess I won't say how, but it was one of those things where I was waiting for it. I'm like, all right, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And he finally did it. But I'm like, okay, well, it kind of like what you were saying. I'm like, okay, I thought he was gonna like throw him in a fucking cage.
I was certain he was going to be responsible for his death.
Yes, I was like, oh great, Nathan Drake's gonna die, or he's gonna like sacrifice himself because his brother's a dick. But it's gonna be the whole brother thing, and it wasn't that actually. It was a little bit different, but yeah, I think once the brother aspect came into it on Uncharted 4, that really did. And plus they kind of, they dove back into when they were younger, and kind of how that relationship grew.
A little slow for me, but yeah,
it was a little slow, sure. But I think the other thing too in the Uncharted series was in 3 when they show the relationship between Nathan Drake and Sully. They kind of go back to show how that relationship started, like the father-son sort of thing.
Yep.
Obviously, Nathan Drake not having a father growing up, Sully being there. So yeah, so I really think the Uncharted series as a whole did a very good job getting you emotionally invested in the characters. Obviously, again, done by great voice acting, great storytelling. But yeah, for sure, those games really drove me. It was one of the first games where I really just felt like, yep, I'm locked into these characters. This is what this is about.
Sure,
I'm invested.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk specifically about Uncharted 4, I have a different perspective on that. I don't have a brother. You have a brother.
True.
So a little bit about, a little background about that. Probably why you cared for that a little more. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a sucker for the love stories in games and movies a little bit. So
that's true.
In game, I guess the game's still relatively recent, so try to do it in as few details as possible, but there's a little conflict with Nathan and Elena that was pretty significant. And then some other points, led to some reunions within the game that were pretty significant, though. That's kind of what I liked about that. Different aspects. So I think so. You had Uncharted.
Fair enough. Yep.
So I'm gonna
Fair enough.
go. I was debating leading with this one or ending with this one because this is gonna be the one I have the most to talk about.
Great. So we're gonna either have a great start or a poor start or a great end. I don't know.
Well, hell, let's start off strong. Maybe we can wrap it up near the end if it gets a little weak. So my absolute pick for this entire topic, not that there's a list in any particular order, but just my favorite is Mass Effect.
Number one on your list.
We talked about it. Talked about it last week on the obviously my all-time favorite franchise. I played it in a way that was, I think, unique in that I followed the games back to back to back. So when I got into the franchise, all the games were out.
Yep.
I didn't play Mass Effect 1, wait 2 years, Mass Effect 2, wait 2 years, Mass Effect 3, wait 2 years.
You had it, yeah, right.
I literally sat down one summer, I played nothing else except Mass Effect because I wanted to really digest the entire story without interruption. Mm-hmm. So I took that Shepard file, which was an awesome thing, by the way, that you got to transfer your save file from game to game to game.
That was very cool.
That was fantastic because, sometimes games feature that it doesn't really work. This one, it was flawless.
Was it one of the first games to do that?
It was one of the first games to do it very well. Let's put it that way.
What other games attempted to do it? I don't even.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but maybe we can figure that out later.
I mean, I think they did it so well. They're just like, yeah, we started it. I think they can just sit there and take.
If
claim.
they say they started it, no one's gonna fucking argue. With them,
I think they'd be like, all right, that's fair. Yeah, nice job. Okay.
So really, in this, we are going to talk about some spoilers from Mass Effect. I think there's been enough time that has passed that we can talk about it. So.
I think the third game came out 2000. Like the third game came out in
2009. Mass Effect 3.
Okay, and then obviously Andromeda.
You can check me on that while I start. talking about.
But I think at this point, if 5 years have gone by, sorry to tell you, but we're gonna spoil it. Don't be mad,
please.
Don't be mad. No comments, please. Thank you. But yes, continuing on. Actually, let me look at it.
Yeah. Well, you look that up, and I'll keep talking about it. So, in Mass Effect 1, you obviously had the very difficult decision, which you didn't play, but you had a decision. You had two key partners, Kaidan and Ashley. I was very wrong. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012.
Breaking news. Mass Effect 3 was released in 2012. Wow. I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was like...
I don't know where I got 2009 from.
Were you thinking of like the original Mass Effect? Because Mass Effect
I'm
2
sure it's somewhere in
came out in 2010. Wow.
So,
okay.
All right.
Anyway.
So you take the big game. You have obviously the tough decision to save Kaidan or Ashley. I saved Ashley. That was pretty heart-wrenching to start the series off.
I never played the game, and I think overall, if I had to pick, obviously Ashley, but I think like in terms of guys who played the game, it was like 90%, 99% save Ashley because they're like, I don't want this dude. Like,
Well, I mean, you could play as a female Shepard, pick Kaidan if you were.
I think they would still pick.
A lot
Ashley.
of people played female Shepard. I mean, Kaidan was kind of boring, so I would just pick Ashley, and the fact that she was a little more exciting than Kaidan was. So then you go to Mass Effect 2, and you have the suicide mission, and you run the risk of losing characters, which you have to be very, very careful if you choose not to. So that was pretty intense because I spent the entire game talking to every single character, doing every single loyalty mission, and making sure everybody liked me because it's very important. I want everybody in my crew to like me. That was a big deal to me. And then Mass Effect 3, holy crap. Let's put it this way. So a couple reasons.
Gonna drop a mind grenade on you.
I saved Mordin in Mass Effect 2, so Mordin was in Mass Effect 3.
Same with me.
And I chose the path where Mordin was going to sacrifice himself to cure the genophage, and it is absolutely tragic. he walks up to that damn elevator, and you're trying. He sings the Solarian scientist song,
damn it.
And he walks up to that elevator and says the most ice cold motherfucking thing I've heard in a video game. Do you remember what it was? Did you have Mordin in your playthrough?
I did have Mordin in the playthrough. I don't remember what he said.
I'll tell you exactly what he says. Commander Shepard comes to peace that Mordin's going to go up to that tower. He's not coming back. He's going to cure the genophage. And Commander Shepard says, I'm sorry. And Mordin turns around. The elevator doors close, and he said, it had to be me. Somebody else would have gotten it wrong. And then he goes up, sacrifices himself, gives me chills. Get chills just talking about it. One of the coolest things I've ever heard in a video game my entire life. Super sad when Morton dies. Then,
Oh,
because
he's
had
just so content with dying. You're like, son of a bitch.
exactly, he's at peace because he rectified his mistake,
Right.
and that was the one thing that he regretted. So he was ready to go. And then you go up, or you continue. I played with the extended cut, so the patch that brought in a little extra content, and it was the when you're gonna storm the beam at the very end.
Okay.
You're gonna rush the beam. You're gonna try to get up there. Obviously, defeat the Reapers. That's your big plan. Doesn't fucking work. But you're running down, and whomever your love interest is at the time, hopefully you brought with, because then truck gets turned over. You, as Shepard, call the Normandy for evac, and your two partners leave. So for me, it was Ashley.
Oh.
Yeah. So as Ashley she's injured. Garrus gets her on, for me, Garrus gets her on the Normandy, and she's like crying. She's like, no, I have to go. And he's like, no, you can't. Like, and she's like, I love you. And he's like, and he almost says, I know. Like, it was this close to being Han Solo, but he's like,
Oh man.
I love you too. And he turns around and he runs towards the beam, gets fucked up. But he makes it to the top of the Citadel with, what's his name? Help me out here.
Oh boy.
Anderson, thank you.
Let's say me? You're asking me for help?
Goes a little,
Jesus. Again, you're the one who wears the N7 hoodie.
had a little
and you're
mini
coming
stroke.
to me for answers?
And he's up there, and that's when I'm proud of you plays. It's Anderson and Shepard, and they're sitting up there in the Citadel. You know, I think they've both come to peace that they're not going back. And then, obviously, at the end, you have to decide what you're going to do. And I chose synergy, and so Shepard sacrifices himself, and organics and synthetics merge into one green being and help to rebuild the planet.
Rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that.
I agree emotionally everything that you were saying. Obviously, again, you were more invested in those games. I think the only time in those games that I truly got very very emotional was when he's giving that final speech
In Mass Effect 2?
3.
Oh, 3.
Before they go out for the final mission. So like before the final mission like officially starts, they're in that little room and they're like, oh my god, like the world's just falling apart. Like, what are we gonna do?
Reapers.
And Shepard's like, all right. He basically gave like the state high school varsity football team like state tournament pep talk.
I think it was a little more important than
He's
that.
like, look, team. He dropped some like Billy Bob Thornton Friday Night Lights speech
God.
on them, basically saying, and they had "We Face Our Enemy Together" playing in the background, and I was like sitting there like, all right, let's fucking do this.
You know,
Like,
I
was getting pumped up.
would be more comfortable drawing the comparison to Aragorn at the Black Gate than fucking Billy Bob Thornton talking to high school football players, because Aragorn and the rest of the fellowship at the time that was together was facing a much bigger task. Texas State fucking football game.
What if I said it was more like Coach Brooks talking to the U.S.
Again,
team?
that's a fucking hockey game.
Correct, but pretty big task at hand.
I'm gonna stick with my Lord of the Rings one. Hopefully, I think everybody can appreciate that. But I mean, like you get the opportunity to talk to everybody one more time before the final mission. Like you said, you talked to Garrus, that made me cry. You talked to, I talked to every single person. Also in that game, if you choose, so I had a unique situation. Is in you choose Ashley as your love interest for game 1, Miranda for game 2, and then Ashley for game 3.
Okay.
You have to tell Miranda that you don't love her anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you played the
I don't know
game,
how
you
you do
know
that.
Miranda obviously is, built herself up as this ice cold character who doesn't really have any emotions, and she turns around, she cries when she leaves, and that was heart wrenching, especially because she fucking dies.
Right.
So, a lot of big emotional moments in Mass Effect for me. Can't really top
I
it.
still don't get how you can turn away Miranda. I honestly don't even know how to pronounce her name.
Yvonne Strahovski, actually.
Thank you. There it
She's
is.
also the star of Chuck, another great show, a show that made me cry many times, especially at the end. For all you Chuck fans, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. The very last episode was completely heartbreaking.
Sorry,
So-
I forgot everything you just said. I was too busy staring at Miss Yvonne here.
She's a good-looking person, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, though, yes, but I do know what you're saying. The love interest, that's again nice little aspect of the Mass Effect games. But yeah, I don't know. Ashley, she seemed too like annoying to me. Like I was like, Miranda just seems more like cool, and she's just like,
Actually grew a lot from the first game to the third game.
See, I guess that's the only
And
thing I
that's
wouldn't know
that's
because I
where you
didn't play the
missed,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah,
So,
that's
but
fair.
you know, it's
Okay.
all personal preference, and that's me. Those are the big things that brought me to Mass Effect.
You know, one game though, I think that I played first,
Mhm.
and that you finally played because by God, if we remember from last week, we talked about the old B-Lands here, Mister Tattoo invested in the games, and I was telling you time and time again
B-Lands.
to play Telltale Tales from the
Ah,
Borderlands.
you had me
And
all
I
confused
told you
there.
time and time again. Well, here's the thing, everybody. Josh here, not he's well now. I guess you could say he's on board with the Telltale games.
I'm on board now.
You weren't prior, and by God, you fought me tooth and nail with this because you were like, these games are just derp, 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 stupid, and I don't like them. And I'm like, come on, man, just give them a try, give it a chance. And the first game you played, though, which I'm actually very glad
This is why.
I got you to play it first, was
Batman.
Batman.
Yes.
So obviously, I know your love for Batman being the superhero and everything, and you love him. So I was like, okay, this is actually a good start. And you liked it. So I was like, okay, sweet. So then you saw Tales from the Borderlands. I'm like, dude, your love for Borderlands, you have to give this game a try. It's not like a direct correlation to the games. There is like it's a small little tangent, but it's still pretty cool. Like it
adds a lot to the story.
So yeah. So again, from your standpoint, I'm like, dude, come on, just give this a try. Like I played it, not even that invested, and I still liked it. So then you tried it, and I knew there was one part. There was one part, and again, spoiler alert, it's been out for a while.
Well, here, before we talk about that, let's talk about some other good things about Tales from the Borderlands.
Okay.
In terms of investment, the music. The music's fantastic.
Very well done. Yes.
There's 3 songs. There's 5 episodes. Each episode has its own theme song, and 3 of them are now on my starred playlist on Spotify. And it's Busy Earnin', Retrograde, and I cannot remember the name of the other song, but it's on the playlist that you and I have. The music was fantastic, completely fit the tone of every episode, and I legitimately wanted to get through every single beginning part so I could get to see what the theme music was.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very awesome in that regard. But if you would like to go on and talk about the big emotional impact of that game,
Busy
otherwise I can
Earnin'
tell
is
it.
from Tales of the Borderlands?
Yeah, episode
Kiss the
1.
Sky is the other one?
Kiss the Sky, thank you.
Wow.
And that is by Sean Lee's Ping Pong Orchestra.
Oh, dude.
Huge fan.
Huge fan.
No doubt. So yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. So that's where you heard Busy Earning from then?
Oh yeah. Retrograde.
That makes sense.
Retrograde's not on that playlist, but Busy
Yes,
Earnin' and
Retrograde,
Kiss the
right?
Sky. Oh, and Retrograde. Yeah,
Retrograde,
all
yeah.
fantastic
Wow.
songs. All came from Tales from the Borderlands. So I think the
Very cool.
music can be a very powerful tool, and they definitely capitalize
That
on
does,
that
yeah.
one.
Well, I think Borderlands in general too has done like even Borderlands 1 and 2 had some
Oh
pretty
my
solid
god, the
intros.
the
Intro
intros of
songs.
Borderlands are just amazing.
The credits I think for B-Lands 2 was What Makes a Good Man, maybe.
Well, the beginning is Shortchange Hero.
Beginning of Short Change Hero,
is
right?
For Borderlands
Yeah.
2, and then Borderlands 1 was Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant,
Yes.
and that was fantastic. Those were awesome introductions to games. I can't.
I think
even-
that finally the people of Borderlands were so committed to their games. They're like, all right, we need music now. They're like, fuck. Let's just everyone go on their like iPods and just see what we got, and just start scrolling through. They're like, would this work? Like, what about this? Because they're like, we're not gonna. We've put so much into this.
Dude,
We're not composing shit anymore.
they paid somebody a lot of money to figure that out.
They really did, because they were
Let's
like,
put
you
it
know
that
what,
way.
fuck this. Like, guys, how much do we have left in the budget? That much? We're fucking adding music. Find these people, get some rights.
So,
But
bringing
anyway,
us back to Tales from the Borderlands. The
back
one
to
moment.
Tales.
Would you want me to tell it? Because I just did it.
I think you should,
Okay.
because this moment when you told me what happened was just phenomenal.
It was so a little background about me. I will cry at almost any sort of emotional form of entertainment, be it a movie, a TV show, a video game. I get really, really involved and, kind of get myself sucked into the story, which is why obviously we're talking about this. So this particular scene, and big spoiler if you haven't played Tales from the Borderlands, if you want to cut it off right now, is you lose Scooter.
Not only do you lose him,
The best so the best NPC in Borderlands. Scooter, quick refresher,
no doubt.
runs all the catcher rides, clinically insane, but maybe your
catch a
biggest
ride.
fan, no matter who you are in the
Well, let's
Borderlands
just say this
universe.
in the games. God, did that get annoying after a while?
I never got annoyed.
Really?
Not once did I get annoyed by
Oh
Catch a Ride.
God! At
Loved
some
it
point,
every single time.
I was like, okay, like I want to catch a ride. I'm like, I got a ride.
No.
I'm going already.
I'm always ready to catch a ride.
Oh my God!
So
Does not take away from me liking him, but
every time you came upon a Catch a Ride, you would hear Scooter's recorded voice at the station where you get a vehicle yell "Catch a Ride." And in the situation in Tales from the Borderlands, you are essentially launching yourself to a Hyperion facility on a rocket, and something gets stuck.
Yeah.
Your thrusters get stuck, and they're going to explode if they stay attached
That's right.
to the
That's what
fuselage.
happened, yep.
So they need to detach them. One detaches, and the other one, in true devastating fashion, stays stuck. And the only way to do it is to manually let it go while you're attached to the thruster. So you obviously the main character isn't going to get sacrificed here. So your man Scooter
God.
offers to sacrifice himself. And it is one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I started having tears when I knew it was going to happen. And then what really put me over the edge is every time you hear Catch a Ride, it's this emphatic, like super excited kind of hillbilly voice. And the main character that you're playing at the time is a female. So when it's ready to go, you say your goodbye to Scooter, and he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am. I've got to catch a ride."
Oh God!
And he releases the thing, and he goes off, and he dies, and it's the saddest thing I've ever seen. I almost stopped playing. I actually had to take a minute, dry the eyes.
That's when you called me.
I had to take a break.
And the thing is too, I had played this game quite a few months in advance, so I still had to kind of think back to the whole game. But when he called me and he started telling me about like, dude, and I was like, oh man, because at one point I was like, oh shit, I remember what happened now. I remember what you're going to tell me. And then you're like, oh my God. And I could kind of hear it in your voice. I'm like, oh, dude, Scooter just died. It's like he just witnessed Scooter die.
God.
Because again, I am not even that invested into it. And even I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is sad.
Yeah.
Someone was making this game and went, guys, I got it. I got exactly how we are going to get some tears.
And it doesn't even end there, because in at the end of episode 4, Loaderbot sacrifices himself to get off the Hyperion facility. And I'm like, I'm sad that this fucking robot died.
Because Loaderbot, he's always there for you.
Because he was a G.
He was the G that would got you out of tricky
and
situations.
Then,
and he was
and
like,
then
well, I'm gonna hurt myself.
You find out at the end of the game, Loaderbot was facilitating this reunion amongst the whole crew of characters.
Right.
And because he said he wanted to be with his friends. Oh my God. Can't do it. We might need to take a break right now. So that's Tales from the Borderlands. I mean, oh man. You're right.
And this part is brought to you by Kleenex, because God, we need it.
Kleenex brand facial tissue.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was hilarious. Like I said, when you called me, I was saying, like, dude, can you imagine, like, you just losing it and you're just sitting there and you're like, your roommates are just like, hey man, you okay in there? Just not right now. Not right now. And they're like, what's going in there? I just gotta catch a ride. Just gotta catch a ride. Like, oh my God, man. All right. But yeah, I think, that for sure. Oh my God, and you know the thing is too, is the Telltale games themselves. Like I've been trying to tell Josh here for a while, which I think he's finally getting. Man, can you just really get emotionally attached? Because I think the thing too is
you don't get distracted by gameplay.
Because you have to be paying attention.
Yep.
You have to be paying attention to everything they're saying. Because the best part about it is also kind of going along with the Mass Effect stuff. Like when you say something, or when you click an answer and you say something and you tell someone to go fuck themselves, they'll be like 2 episodes later, like, hey, remember when you told me to go fuck myself? Well, fuck you. And they just won't help you out. And you're like, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. Because then later on you're like, oh, I guess they're not so bad. And then all of a sudden you're like,
they always get you. They'll always get you.
Hey, could you like help me out? They're like,
a dick.
No.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
I try to be the best version of myself as possible when I play that game.
The first one that really got me was The Walking Dead for Telltale.
Oh, for Telltale.
Was the season 1.
And I know, I didn't play it, but I know the big thing at the end. I
think at this point,
get into it too much.
If you are a gamer, you know what happens. But even when it's one of those things where you know what happens, and you're still like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
it still catches you off guard.
Obviously, the character named after a particularly tiny fruit has to make a very difficult decision.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Kiwi.
And yeah.
Yep.
And the coolest part was I actually played this game. And by the way, little side notes, everybody, if you ever play these Telltale games, try to get them in a group. Get like a group of
Yeah, you
people,
like to do that a lot.
because what I did with a bunch of my buddies that I met down in Illinois when I moved down there for work, was we got together as a group, and what we would do is when big decisions came up, or even just like regular decisions in general. So like how the game, I'm sure a lot of you know, how the games work is as you're going through regular conversation, there'll just be like moments where like triangle, square, X will pop up. In circle, did I miss circle? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
No,
buttons
the
will
normal
pop.
buttons.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you a
They'll pop
pass.
up and they'll give you options to click. So normally what we do for those is whoever shouts out the first thing, like the first thing people hear, boom, going with it. So sometimes it can kind of make things a little funny. But when we get to a big decision where basically it's A or B to select from, what we do is we'll pause the game and actually have debates. Like we'll talk about, okay, this person seems crazy, but they might come back later. And we'll actually have like legit discussions back and forth about things to do. So we played the entire first season of The Walking Dead together in a group, and I will never forget this. We're sitting there, and the whole end sequence is going on. Clementine, for all of those playing back
Fuck,
at home.
I got it wrong. I thought it was kiwi.
Close. Unfortunately, Clementine's smaller than a kiwi. Can it be? I think it can be.
I don't really care.
Okay. Well, anyway. God damn you. Simple fucking question. You can't even
Yeah.
know.
It's a lot,
Anyway, Clementine sequence happening with Lee, who is the older figure who was basically taking care of Clementine when he found her, and things are unraveling. And of course, you have the drastic decision as Clementine, who I think at this point is like 6, and she's just like, do I kill him or do I let him turn because he's locked up?
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there and we're playing with a couple of our friends, and of this group there are guys and girls mixed. The guys are still trying to be like, hold it together, in front of the girls. And
Yeah.
the
See, that's the thing. I don't need to act tough. All right.
Oh, I didn't.
I can,
trust me.
No, no.
I
I'm,
was like,
I'm just saying because
oh my God.
what I was talking about earlier. I'll cry. I have no problem crying.
I agree.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't bother me one bit.
Doesn't bother me
So
either.
yeah, no, let it out, man.
So then the girls were even starting to get like, oh my God, like this is really emotional. And then my buddy Mark, just out of nowhere, because it was a little later in the night. But now keep this in mind, people. We're just playing along, going doot doot doot, and like Clementine, we're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like, we're gonna kill him, or we're gonna let him turn? And Mark goes, X gonna give it to you. We're all just like, God damn it, dude! Like he just spoiled the entire emotion of that entire scene. He's like,
See,
fuck it, dude. It's
that's
late.
a funny
I don't
story, but that's why I will. You and I have played those games together, but I'm not playing that in a group. I want because when you and I have played those games, and we could talk about a different one later. But we've done it in a position where you let me do it because you've done it already.
I have one.
So-
I have one to think, and I think I
Yeah.
even think of the same one.
So I still get to make all the decisions because I want to have that
Right.
investment. That
Well, I think that was the coolest part too. Is I've played these games already, so to go back and to watch you play them is actually kind of
Like a
cool
new
for me too.
perspective.
Because you make
Yeah.
your own thing. And I know the one game you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure people have played this. And actually, if you haven't, we're gonna kind of keep this one in the DL because a lot of people might not have had exposure to this game.
we might get
is
to it later.
Until Dawn.
Yeah.
It's basically a Telltale based game, but it's just
They have a much different focus. They have if you haven't played it, they have this butterfly effect, which we're all familiar with.
That's
Step on a butterfly's wings, you alter the course of history concept. But a little butterfly will flash up when you make particularly heavy decision, heavy or drastic decisions. So then you make a decision and a butterfly shows up. You're like, oh, what the fuck did I just do? Like, I don't know what that means. Like, am I gonna get fucking murdered or like I don't know.
that game ended. I had like 4 different people alive, and you only had 3. And I remember the one character in particular.
I'll go ahead and tell that story. So, Until Dawn is it's a survival horror game with those decisions that alter the game, and I don't know, maybe it's having a rough day, but I wasn't about to fuck around. All right, they were in this situation. It's a bunch of dumb young kids out of a cabin. They're going back there to.
It's your horror movie tropes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's kind of what it is, basically.
100%.
Yeah.
Well put. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not fucking around with these people. I am making every single decision in the best interest of either the group or the particular person that I'm in control
That's the best
of.
part about these games is you actually like put your own emotion into these
I
games.
was
which makes it
not
fantastic.
I was not having it.
Great.
I wasn't having it. And a particular character, if you have played it, her name is Emily, and she's fucking annoying.
Who is the actress that actually plays?
I don't know, but I'm sure she's lovely in real life. But that character is annoying as shit. She's very rude, and I'm tired of her. So there were many opportunities where she would die, and she always could come back to life. I literally dropped her off a ledge. came back from that one. Don't know what that was about. And then it culminated near the end of the game where you find out you discovered this book with just some research as to what is killing all the characters. And there's some confusion as to whether or not a bite or an injury from the creature will cause a person to turn into one.
The lovely Nicole Bloom, for those of you who are curious.
Yeah, sure, she's great in in real life, but in the game she plays an annoying fucking person. So anyway, you have the decision. The character Emily is injured, so now they're concerned that she's going to turn into one, and you have a gun. So now you can decide to let it ride, and possibly she turns in to one of the creatures, right? She did. Or you're in a cave, multiple people have already died, you could stop fucking around.
The big difference here, though, of what I did compared to what you did is you read the book that you found, that notebook, after said incident happened. I read this before that decision was even coming to fruition.
I might have had some ideas about what I wanted to do already.
The book basically said you get bit, it's fine.
Well, let me tell you something. She didn't make it out.
Because Mr. Zombie Apocalypse over here is going, oh, damn.
I don't think so.
I know the rules. I know the rules.
Popped it right in the face.
Here's the best part, people. I'm sitting there, and he's like, hey, man, what did you do? And I'm like, because here's the thing. I didn't tell him anything of what I did. I told him after he had made his decisions. So I'm sitting there, and he's like, hey, man, what did you do? And I'm like, I'm not going to say, bam, what the fuck?
You probably didn't even finish your sentence, and I pulled that trigger.
I barely got done, and I don't think I've ever seen a decision made so quickly, and I was just so thrown off because I was like, oh my god, you just fucking popped this girl. You don't even know if that bite is gonna. And honestly, that is such like, again, that's the best part about these things, is those decision making games get you emotionally involved, but emotionally from your own standpoint, because you are the one who are like, even though you're like a character, you're the one who is interacting with these people, sure, more or less. So I mean, you're like, how would I react to this? How would I respond to this?
To stop you right there and qualify this experience, I'm not about to murder people, nor do I have murderous tendencies.
Sorry, FBI, we're not gonna murder anybody.
It's still a video game, so
for whoever's listening on the podcast,
I promise, not a murderer.
We promise.
Jeez. So yeah, those are those kind of select your own choices kind of games. Obviously one that went up right in the middle. So that's about it. Would you like to talk about one?
Yeah, I think kind of moving away from the decision making ones, kind of just getting back into more
mix it up a little here.
Getting back more like the storytelling. The other one that was good for me, again, going back to last week, the number one on my list was The Last of Us. As we know, that game made me physically cry.
You physically cried.
Oh my god.
That's a very important distinction.
Just so we don't forget about that.
I physically cried in a lot of games. So you physically cried too. So that's good. You don't know what we're talking about, go listen to our first episode, please. Oh my god. And
I just wanted to get that out there because I knew you were gonna probably bring that back up again. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just get this on the table right now. Are you done? Whatever. Anything else you wanna?
Tentatively.
Are you gonna physically cry about it?
Not yet.
Okay. Is The Last of Us. That game, in and of itself, had me, I think, more emotionally drawn than any other game. And to be quite honest, I really don't know why. From the standpoint of, like, I'm not a father,
right?
I'm not like an only child, so you are. So there really is no like aspect of that like happening or anything like that. But I think the thing that just drew me in and kind of referenced this last time was the voice acting. I think the relationship.
It's a common theme for you. It's a big.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think because
I'm not insulting. I'm just saying it's a big thing for you.
Yeah, because and it's like, well, it's just like when you watch a movie, for example. If you have great acting, you get really drawn into the movie. I think,
except for quick interjection, American Hustle. You see that movie?
God, yeah.
It was good, and I could tell it was. I think it was historically accurate based on the fact that it was so boring.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Jeremy Renner, Christian Bale, Amy Adams,
J-Law,
Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper.
Oh my God,
you had an amazing.
Robert De Niro was in that at one point too, I think.
He did. I don't remember that. I only saw it one time.
He was a side years ago. Gangster, I think.
But it was so well acted, but it was just like, holy crap.
But it was as if they were acting for nothing.
That's the thing. I think it was
a great performance.
So let's not get too far.
Sidebar.
But, yeah.
But Honestly, no,
Sorry.
I think that's the biggest thing. And the relationship that was drawn between Ellie and Joel, the wonderful Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker,
Hmm.
um, that really built the game.
Oh yeah.
Because the way those two bounced off one another, conversation wise, was just fantastic. And I don't know if any of you have actually seen this or not, but they did. I saw this on YouTube a while back. They did the 1 year anniversary of the game, and they actually had the OG cast come in and basically reenact all the cutscenes live on stage.
Oh, I didn't know you know
It
that.
was really, really amazing. So, what they did basically, really quick, if you don't know about it, is they brought in the actors. It was really kind of like an unplanned sort of thing. So basically, all the actors got there, whoever they could get there, and the creator of, oh, why can't I think of the guy who made? Oh my God, what
More
is his name?
details I can help you out here.
The guy who made The Last of Us. He's like a huge Naughty Dog creator. I don't know what his name is, though.
Thomas T. Dog.
Probably
His friends call him
not.
Naughty.
That's awesome. If it was that, actually, that was the
You
case.
might, yeah.
Anyway, for any of
Moving
you
on.
who is listening, I'm sure one of I know his. I just can't think of it. Anyway, he basically got everybody there, and he's like, "All right, everybody, here's what we're gonna do. Thank you for getting here for like the 1 year anniversary because that's what they all knew about. But he's like, we're gonna actually do a little cool thing, and we're gonna recreate all the cutscenes. So all the actors did not know until they got there, like I don't know, 20 minutes before the show started, and they reenacted every cutscene. Now, mind you, this is a year. These people haven't been sitting there like every day,
That's
like
pretty crazy, yeah. Like
rehearsing these
looking at their
scenes.
copy, knowing what they're gonna
They
say, getting
knew
into
almost verbatim
yeah what they're gonna
what
read.
was happening,
Yeah,
and to see that and how they like got the emotion right back into it again, I was like, this is awesome.
yeah. I
Like
mean,
it was so amazing.
yeah, they're all very talented, and I think too, like it's one thing to have the time to practice. You're in a sound booth, you have your copy, you read it a thousand times if you choose. It's another thing to do it in front of a stage, like
Like
essentially
live
on
audience,
demand. Yeah,
they had no script. They just had to
right.
go off of what they remembered, and it was mind you, a year after it got launched. So that's not
Yeah.
even saying they were done recording at that time. It could have been like months after recording. Then the game got
Oh, sure,
launched.
they could have finished
Yeah.
it. And
So, and again, the one scene that always fucking gets me right out of the gate is when Joel's daughter dies. And again, you know it's coming. You don't see her on the cover because you're like, hey, I don't see that chick on the front. I see somebody else. And you're like, what happens? So then you get going, and Troy Baker on that stage gave the same emotion that he did in the game. And I'm pretty sure he was on the verge of tears because I definitely was. Because I'm like,
he's a good actor. Well, he's
like,
a good voice actor.
he really is. And again, that entire game, just throughout, everybody they added into that game from a voice acting standpoint was just phenomenal. And again, it really was that connection between Ellie and Joel that just drove it. It was even though his daughter died, that's what that game carried on, was Joel wanting to recreate the father-daughter aspect that he had lost before everything happened.
Yeah.
And that's what kept driving it home. And I remember there was one scene in particular where they get to this like abandoned house, and Ellie's like sitting upstairs and she's reading. She found some girl's diary and she was like going through it, and her and Joel had this really big like connect, because basically what was going to happen is Joel was going to leave her with his brother that he found, and he was going to like leave her and be like, all right, like I'm done with this, she's a nuisance, like I'm done with it, I don't want to deal with this. And then she finally said like, look man, I'm here with you to do this. Like we've been traveling halfway across the country together. Like we need to do this together. And it was it's a if you can look at the cutscene, it's really really crazy. It's probably midway through the game, give or take. And it was just this like, because what ended up happening is Ellie found out about Joel's daughter, and she was like, "Am I like Sarah? Am I like Sarah right now or something?" And she and Joel he turns to her and he goes, "Ellie, you are on mighty thin ice right now." And the way he said that, just the way he delivered it, it was fantastic. And again, I'm just sitting there just like, I could only imagine like someone looking at me, I'm just totally like locked in like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And yeah, I think to me, that game is again why it's on my number one of all time. But God, that just got me so. You have to try it, man. You really have to give that game a chance.
Okay. So Last of Us, obviously very important to you.
Absolutely.
Nobody can really deny that. I don't think after that. So I won't even try to.
I apologize.
Don't apologize.
Oh.
You like what you like.
I'm telling you, man.
I'll tell you what I'll apologize for. And what I'll apologize for is how motherfucking sad the end of The Darkness is.
Are we a PG-13 podcast?
No.
Mm.
So I'll say it. Fuck.
Oh.
That's right. We're gonna get that R rating.
Oh damn.
I'm trying to get that explicit tag as soon as possible. So, The Darkness. Have you played The Darkness?
I have not. And
You've not
to be
played The
quite honest
Darkness.
with you, I have not heard about this game until right now.
Yeah. Well, we did a little background research. I had you look up some trailers
You did.
just to get a
I
little
did.
bit of
I took a look at
set
it.
the tone a little bit.
Right.
Excuse me. It wasn't that big of a game, and I don't remember what even got me into it. Doesn't really matter. But the fact of the matter is, it is a great game, and the end of Darkness 2 legitimately left me sad for a couple of days. Like a couple of days I was bummed
Jeez.
out, and I've never told you this, so this should all be brand new to
This
you.
is yeah.
So the Darkness 1, quick precursor, it's this mob, this man who's involved in the mob, and is on his 21st birthday, somebody has soul to this demon that is the Darkness. So the Darkness possesses his body, and what happens is he's essentially going after his mob boss uncle, whose name's Uncle Paulie.
Mhm.
Fucked him over. So Jackie, the main character, is kind of killing all Uncle Paulie's guys, trying to figure it out, get to the bottom of this XYZ, get his revenge on Uncle Paulie fucking up his life a little
Right.
bit. And then in the middle of the game, you okay, back up a little bit. You go over, you have a girlfriend, and you
okay.
can spend time with her, and it's a very unique way in that you can sit down. You sit down with her in the couch, and you can sit there as long as you want. You can actually sit there and watch the entirety of the actual movie To Kill a Mockingbird. So the actual
Really?
movie is on the TV in the video game, not a video game version. The actual movie is playing on the TV.
Okay, that's
If
pretty
you
cool.
choose to sit there, you can watch the whole film.
Wow.
So it's like press A to get up whenever you want. You're sitting with her name's Jenny.
Is that an achievement? Because it better be.
I don't think so. I could double check, but
Because I like to think it should be.
you can sit the whole time. You have these deep conversations with her.
Wow.
You're both kind of troubled kids. You're the only two that get each other. It's this big. So it's like I said before, I got a thing for the love stories.
Sure.
Big thing. She's very important to you. She's really the only thing you have. And especially as you're going on this murderous rampage to kill your family. So obviously, big connection there. And then, in the middle of the game, you go back to Jenny's apartment because you think she's in trouble from Uncle Paulie. And you get there, and what do you see?
What do you see?
You are trapped outside the motherfucking door while Uncle Paulie grabs her by the head, puts her head up to the window of the door, and says, like, this is what you get. And she goes, Jackie, this isn't your fault. And gets her fucking head blown off right in front of you. Right in front of you. And then right after that, would you like to know what happens? It gets a little worse.
How?
I'll tell you how.
How does that get
So Jackie
worse?
just watches
Jesus.
the love of his life get her fucking head blown off 6 inches, not 6 inches away, a foot away from him by his uncle. So he goes into the bathroom and he is going to kill himself. He has nothing to do. It doesn't really matter if he kills his uncle at this point. He's going to kill himself.
Jesus.
So he does. He shoots himself in the head, but the darkness doesn't let him die.
Oh.
Because the darkness is essentially as old as...
He said it.
The game's over. It said the title. End the game. Darkness doesn't let him die. You go to this World War II version of hell, which is so intense. I wish you could see it. It's so crazy. I'm sorry, not World War II. World War I. You're in the trenches. My mistake, everybody.
Jesus.
You're essentially navigating trenches, and
Sure.
you're trying to get out of what this interpretation of hell is.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy stuff.
Okay.
The end of Darkness 1, not really that significant. So then you flash forward to Darkness 2.
Okay.
And this is where it gets even more fucking heavy. Is now you essentially you're still Jackie, and Jackie still has the darkness, but he has a little more control on it, or so he thinks. The whole time the darkness is trying to completely consume Jackie and just be out on its own, and Jackie is obviously trying to repress it because he knows the darkness is evil.
Of course.
So for a while he thinks he has a good handle on it, and these people try to come steal it. So obviously a lot of stressors and people trying to take it from him and XYZ. But you flip-flop the game. Coming in and out of being normal Jackie, out and about, fucking shit up, doing what he's got to do,
Sure.
to being a shaved head, bandaged over because you have a head injury in a psych ward.
What?
You spend the whole game going, is this real? Is this not real? Is Jackie really in the hospital?
Like
is
some
he
Inception
is he
shit.
not in the hospital? Is it the darkness playing tricks on him in his mind? And that's where you develop a relationship with one of the minions who tries to help you out that I was telling you about. Super funny. That's like honestly one of the more funniest parts of the game. So what you do is you flash forward, and there's a particular scene where you can choose. You're arguing with Jenny because Jenny's alive. So it's like, oh, maybe Jenny didn't get shot. I was imagining this, and I'm still a psych ward patient from the first game.
What the fuck?
You don't know. You honestly don't know. And then
Jesus.
you can choose to argue with her, or you can choose to dance with her. To I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos, another song that made it on my Spotify starred playlist. And you can dance with her, and obviously another big moment. And you really want to believe it, because you want to believe that Jenny didn't die, and you want to believe that Jackie still has her. But at the same time, you have to know, just have this feeling like this can't be real. Like this is not real. The darkness is real. I'm out. And what happens is you eventually, suicide is a common theme in this game. You break out. You get to the top of the psych ward. You think you're in the psych ward. You get to the top of it, and Jackie goes, "There's only one way. I either jump and I die, or I jump and I wake up." So he jumps, quote unquote, goes into hell again.
I'm back again. Everybody.
Flash forward
Jesus.
really quick, because I know this one's going a little long.
God.
Jenny's down there. She's trapped down there.
Okay.
So she's alive technically, because the darkness kept her trapped.
Okay.
Down in hell. So you find out, you get through, you fight the darkness, you fight it off. You're no longer connected, and then Jenny turns into an angel. And it's no longer Jenny. It's now this angel. Don't remember her name. And she goes, "Jenny's in here. She still inexplicably loves you, even though you've done all these things to ruin her life."
Right.
Leaves, traps you in hell, and that's the end of the game.
That's the end of
Jackie
one?
that's the end of 2. That's the end of the Darkness franchise. Is Jackie is trapped down there after he did all this stuff, realizes Jenny's alive. This angel now takes over her body, leaves, and that's it. You're done. And it was so heart-wrenching, because the whole time you fought so hard, you're like, oh, is Jenny alive? Is she not alive? You find out she actually is. Doesn't fucking matter, because she's gone. You're trapped. Doesn't matter.
The only thing this entire time that has been correlating and blending up in my head is this is John Wick meets Demon Possession meets Shutter Island.
A little bit.
That is the biggest correlation I could draw in my mind of what this is entailing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude saw his wife get killed, then he thinks he's like a patient, and he's not a patient, and he's like, he doesn't know what to do.
And that's why I was so sad so many days after, because I played this game and I was like, you want Jenny to be alive, you want to save her, you find out she's trapped, you're like, I gotta get her out, you get her out, you free her, you free yourself from the darkness, and it literally doesn't matter.
You just described this to me. I haven't even played the game, and I already am like, how do I feel?
I'm already bummed.
Like, I feel like I'm like a patient on the table. Like, so how does that make you feel? I'm just like, well, I just don't know.
Not good.
I'm just like laying.
Does
I'm
not
like,
make you
just
feel
doesn't
good?
make me feel good at all. No, it doesn't. The fact that they end on that shit too would make me furious, because I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
how dare you? How dare you fucking tug at my heartstrings like that and leave me so fucked?
I've been waiting for Darkness 3 since 2011, because that's when I played the Darkness 2.
God, I mean, do you know of anything in the works?
I have heard rumors, nothing's concrete, so
Because
I love those games.
Well, actually, at this point, if any of you people listening are feeling the same emotion as Big
Please
Josh over here,
let me know.
please get a petition going here, because quite honestly, I, again, have not played this game, just heard about it. I want a third game
y'all were
because
fucked up
I'm
by
upset
that.
for you guys. Because that is so shitty. Like, that's like going through God of War, and Kratos is just like, well, you're trapped in the underworld. What?
Kratos got out of the underworld 45 times, so
Right.
I think we all knew.
But at one point, though, he's like out, in. But
Right.
then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're in. That's it. End of it. And you're like,
what about Zeus? Yeah, you don't get to kill him.
that's just Zeus. He's there. What?
He's gonna keep being there.
He's gonna keep you in
And
there.
you're gonna keep being there.
And
It's
then,
just Athena fucking him up. Like, no.
and then
You
like
got far enough.
8 years has gone by, and they're just like, maybe we'll help you out, but that's just rumored. We're like, I've been sitting down here in hell for 8 fucking
You
years.
killed everybody. You are not getting a 40th chance
I've
on
lost-
this one, Kratos. I'm sorry.
I've lost sleep over this shit, man. This is ridiculous.
So
God.
I think we covered a lot here.
Yeah, I feel like we've had a video game therapy session.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we
I
just
feel
did.
worse than when we started, actually. I think this is a lot to digest in one session.
I'm gonna go have a couple drinks and really think
A
about my
couple
life.
more drinks, I think. I've already had one since
Yeah,
we
we
started talking.
had one. Yeah, one. I think we need to.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think. Oh man.
Well, here, let's wrap it up a little.
Yeah, let's
on
wrap it
A little
up.
bit of a more positive note.
All right. What do we got?
What are you playing now?
Well, actually, right now I currently bought
You currently
Journey.
bought it, or you already bought it?
Bought it already.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Currently playing it. Sorry.
Yeah, here you go.
I'm sorry, I'm still emotionally messed up with the
Hey,
darkness.
dude, we'll give you a break.
Yeah, now I kind of get when you mess up conversations a little bit. Like you're just, I know now what's going through your mind.
A
It's
lot of
like
sadness.
Jackie just hits there 1 second. You're like Jackie, buh. I'm like what? And you're like I don't know. I'm like it makes sense now. I'm currently playing Journey. I have the collector's edition, which included Flow and Flower. If any of you are unfamiliar with this game,
Journey, Flow, and Flower.
correct.
Okay.
Journey is the main game.
Okay.
PS exclusive, so sorry, Xbox only people. But
PS.
if you are familiar with this game at all and know about it, you'll know that it's very artistic, very beautiful.
I saw a little bit. I was watching you play a little bit. It does look pretty
I
cool.
thankfully, I'll say this: I am glad I paid the price that I paid. I got it at like I think it was like a flash sale for like
Oh,
four or
we are
five
all
bucks.
about the
We're
flash
all about
sales.
flash sales, people. Um,
That's
that
gaming
is
on a budget.
our yes. And I will say this: I'm glad I got it for the price that I did because obviously the games are not that in depth. But I am currently playing it. It's very beautiful, very artistic. If you have the ability and the chance to buy this game, I say give it a try. Don't pay more than like $5 for it
Yeah,
because
that's
really in depth there's not that much to it. But
Sure.
currently playing that, and of course, still grinding out at Red Dead 2, playing some online beta.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very good. Still grinding that out, and yeah.
So Journey,
Journey, and what
Flower,
about
and Flow, and Red Dead.
in Red Dead?
And you always check in with Rocket League.
Oh, dude, every day,
I mean, we'll just assume that from now on.
every day, Rocket League.
So, on my end, I think I mentioned it last week, but I just finished up Resident Evil 2. I finished
That's
up
right.
the
Yep.
second run. So you obviously get to do a run first. I did it with Leon, and then you get to do the second run, which is a little different. The game makes it a little different, and I did that with Claire.
Sure.
Finished that up to unlock the true ending. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. If you are even considering getting Resident Evil 2 remake, get it. It will be worth every penny you spend. So that was great. But then yesterday, nope, not yesterday, 2 days ago,
Oh, that's right. You started.
2 days ago I started Firewatch and finished Firewatch. Um, so a little, it's really you don't really do much. You walk around and you do basic commands. It's really about your character. He goes off to be a fire lookout in the national park who develops this relationship with his boss. So the whole time the dialogue is spent between your character, who does talk, so you hear him speak, and his boss is a female.
Huge emotional mindfuck right out of the gate with that
Oh
game.
yeah, that was
That's for
intense.
another time, I think, because
We can talk about it later.
that's I
It's
think one full podcast with that fucking game.
that game really gets you going right away with being sad. I know we didn't talk about it today, but that one's a little rough too.
You're still. You said you're playing. You're still kind of getting into it, but I think the biggest emotion comes like within the first like
Oh, no doubt.
4 minutes of that
Yeah.
game. You're
So-
like, wow, all right,
Yeah, you develop this relationship with this character over two-way radio because you're just communicating via walkie-talkie.
basically.
And I mean, really, it was really captivating. I was a little disappointed by what actually happened.
Mhm.
I guess we won't talk about it if anybody wants to play it. But when you finally learn the revelation of what the true antagonist of the story was, I was a little let down. I thought it was going to be a little bigger than what it ended
Oh,
up
it
being.
didn't. Wasn't your prediction? Oh, that's right. It wasn't.
No,
That's
my
right.
prediction was
Yeah,
much
I remember that.
more intense than what it
Your
actually
prediction would
ended
have
up
been
being.
cool, but I think the thing is though, I think that was too predictable.
It could have been.
I think that was the
We're
thing.
getting a little too vague. People are probably
But
bored.
either
listening
way.
to us babble. But yeah, Firewatch was good. Not that long, 4.5 hours. So if
right.
you're really looking for a minor commitment, you can do that.
Let's wrap it up.
All right.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.